today's video, it's about how to create a budget for your relocation. The budget is like your Bible, it's your blueprint, it's the map that you're gonna follow to lead you to the new city that you're gonna move to. So you won't be able to move without it. Like, it's so crucial to the process, it's not even funny. Most people who end up relocating someplace, 9 times out of 10, the reason that they end up coming back to their hometown is because they didn't create a budget, they didn't get started out on a good foot. So that's what this video is about, how to be successful with your relocation by creating a budget. Specifically, what you need to know to create your budget, because there's 4 specific things that you need to know to create your budget. You also need to know about expenses versus income. You also need to know about how to not self-sabotage your savings process. And I'm just gonna share with you some other little tips and tricks that I've picked up along the way, my many years of moving and relocating to different cities, including New York City, which is where I am now. So let's get started. Creating your budget. How do you do that? The first thing you need to know is, what are your monthly expenses? That's rent, that's car insurance, that's gas, that's car note for some people, that's utility bills, that's a cell phone bill, that's beauty maintenance, that's your miscellaneous expenses. You always want to make sure when you're writing down your expenses that you include those little miscellaneous expenses. Like for me, I used to love to buy sushi, and I loved a good old bottle of Tito's, so I had to write that down. And then for your monthly income, basically for that one, that's really easy. All you want to do is take your check that you get every 2 weeks times 2, and you want to take the amount that you get after good old Uncle Sam takes all his taxes out and violates your paycheck. That's the number that you want to work with, not what you gross. But you want to take the amount that you get after taxes and multiply that by 2. The third number is how much does it cost to move. Now, you can do it the DIY way, or you can pay someone, and that could cost you anywhere from $600 to $1,500. So it's really about what you want to do and how much stuff you have and all of that. The last number is how much is it going to cost for you to live in your new city. For me, I only calculated 3 months because, as I said before, I have moved a lot of times, so I'm very comfortable and I knew what to do. I've been in New York before, but for a lot of you, it's going to be 6 months. Now, the way you come up with that figure is you're going to take your first figure, which was your monthly expenses, and you're going to multiply in the cost of living in this new city. So for me, living in New York City, if I wanted to buy groceries for a week, I could maybe get away with spending $75, but back at home in Cincinnati, I could spend like 40. And the sales tax in Cincinnati was like 6 point something percent, and New York City is like 9.2 damn much percent. So you need to figure in those costs when you think about how much it's going to cost for you to live, just on the off chance that you don't find a job. But you are going to find a job, because I'm going to help you. I'm going to teach you some tricks on that, but that'll be in another video. So you've got these 4 figures, and these are the 4 figures that you need to figure out your budget. So you want to write these numbers down. Go ahead, write them down. I'll wait. But now that you have written down your 4 figures, here are my 4 figures that I want to show you for the purposes of this video. And this is just an example. These aren't like my real numbers. My first number was my monthly expenses, which was $1,550. My monthly income was $2,500. The cost for me to move, I chose the DIY way, so it was $600. And then the cost for me to live in New York City for about 3 months without a job was $8,000, $8,500. So I just went ahead and rounded that on up to 10, because you always want to have a cushion for yourself, because things do and will happen. Murphy's Law. All right, so if I added up my third and my fourth number, that's how much it's going to cost for me to leave Cincinnati and move to New York City. Okay? All right, so if I were to divide 1,600 by 12, that's $1,333, which means I have to save $1,333 per month for the next year in order to have $10,000 to relocate to New York City. Now, because I get paid bi-weekly in Cincinnati, I'm not actually going to pay $1,333 in one lump sum. I'm going to split it up into 2 payments so that it comes out each check, which is like $666, but that freaks me out, so we're just going to say $670. Okay, $2,500 is how much I'm bringing in, minus $1,333. That's how much I need to save each month, minus my bills, my expenses, which is $1,550. Now, if you've already done the math on that, you already know I'm like negative $400. And that is no good. Like, that means I ain't going nowhere. So I got to figure out a way around that, right? So what are my options? Stay home, which is not an option. For me, it wasn't. And I'm sure it's not for you either. Give yourself more time, meaning you don't leave in a year, maybe you leave in 2 years. So then it would be 16,000 divided by 24, whatever the math is on that. Or you can look closely at your income and your expenses. So let's talk more about your income and your expenses as the first option to be able to play around with your budget so that you can save and not be in the negative so that you can relocate to your new city. Raising your income or lowering your expenses. That's the only way to save money. You raise or you lower. Using my example that I just gave, I would just need to find a gig working maybe 2 or 3 days a week, or even better, if you can milk your company for some overtime, then you would be able to make up the difference of that $400 and hopefully a little bit more than that, maybe like 5, 6, to be able to not be in the negative, and then you'd be able to save the money. Now, I have worked up to 3 jobs at the same time. My first job wasn't paying me that much, but in this example, my first job was paying me really well, so then getting a second job would be, a lot easier. And for some of you, that might be the case, so then that's what you want to do. If it takes you working 3 jobs and you feel like you can maintain it, go for it. That's one way. Raise your income. Get another job. Or milk the company for some overtime without getting into trouble. I want you to get fired. Or you can lower your expenses. I have moved here a lot, and the circumstances each time I moved have all been different. On this particular time that I knew I was going to come back here to New York City, getting another job wasn't an option for me because I was already running a small business. So running a small business, working full time, and then getting another job was just not going to work for me. So what I had to look into for this relocation was lowering my expenses. Now, how can you lower your expenses? Everything that you're getting, I'm sure you feel like you need. I felt the same way, but we could just take a little look and see. Won't hurt. The 3 major expenses that I looked into cutting was 1, my rent, 2, groceries, and 3, my miscellaneous spending. Now let's start with your rent. So there's really only a few options to be able to lower that expense. 1 is to get a roommate. So for me, I was living with my ex-girlfriend already before I'd even decided to relocate to New York City. And we were already splitting all the bills down the middle. So that cut my expenses down in half. So I was really only paying what's half of $1,550, $750 or something like that. That's what I was actually paying out every month. So that's a great way to save on your rent, is to have a roommate. Now I know what you're thinking, Brandy, I'm not in a relationship and I live in a 1-bedroom. But guess what? You can still make it work. And I'm gonna tell you how. You can convert your 1-bedroom. Depending on how the layout is, you pretty much can convert any 1-bedroom into a 2-bedroom. People here in New York City actually do that all the time. When I was living here on one of my other times with my brother, when he came here to New York City, we got a 2-bedroom apartment. And after like the first 3-4 years, we're like, yo, why are we spending this extra money on a 2-bedroom apartment when neither one of us ever goes into the living room? Like when we come home, we're in our rooms or we're in the kitchen or the bathroom and that's it. Or we're just not even here. So we started getting 1-bedrooms and converting them. And that helped us both save a lot of money. If getting a roommate is not an option for you, maybe you could think about moving home. Now, I know before you cuss me out, if moving home is not an option for you because you don't get along with your parents, or God forbid they're not here anymore, and if that's the case, I'm very sorry to hear that, you can stay with a friend. Now, this friend is going to be your angel because they're going to understand not to come looking for you to help them pay bills every month. They know, they have the understanding. There is an understanding that you are there to save money. So they're not looking for you to do anything but take care of whatever it takes for you to maintain yourself, which is your groceries and your toiletries and your transportation and all of that. But the utility bills, the rent bill, that's all on them. So if you can find someone who is willing to do that, that's another great way to save on your rent. So roommate, move home, stay with a friend. Those are the 3 ways that you can save on your rent, which is a major expense. I've done all 3. Obviously, staying at home is the best, but if you can't do that, you can always make a way. The second major expense that I cut into was my grocery bill. And really all I did was start shopping generic. The discount grocery stores in Cincinnati, and I know they're different all over the country, but for us it was Aldi's and it was Save-A-Lot. And those 2 became my best friends, okay? All they have is generic stuff there. So you don't even have to be tempted by shopping in the big name grocery stores because they still tax you, even if you buy generic. If you go to like a discount store, it's better. Another thing I also did was meal planning. It stopped me from buying a bunch of things that I wasn't gonna eat. And it also stopped me from being tempted to buy lunch at work because I would pack my lunch and I would be sitting right at my desk, getting that overtime and not spending money, which is the name of the game. So the third expense that's pretty major for a lot of people that you can cut is your miscellaneous spending. So again, that's manicures and pedicures, that's going out to the club, that's buying a lot of clothes that, you know, are super expensive. That's getting your hair done every week instead of maybe every other week. That's, you know, your Tito's habit, if you're me, you know, those miscellaneous things. Cutting down on those will definitely help you to save money and give you more wiggle room and help you get closer to your goal that much faster, which is the name of the game, right? So now that we've talked about the 3 expenses that you can lower, which is rent, groceries, and miscellaneous spending. Now, for some people, you might, you know, entertain the idea of getting rid of your car, but you're gonna need that to go wherever you're going unless you're moving to New York City. Pretty much you're gonna need to drive, so, or maybe Chicago. So those are the 3 expenses that I always look to first to be able to save money. I would love to hear from you in the comments about which expenses you were able to cut for your relocation, if you have relocated, or some other ideas that maybe I haven't even thought of. Let me know in the comments. Now we're going to move on to how to not self-sabotage your savings. Now, if you are like me, it's hard for me to not spend money. I love to shop. Online shopping is my happiness, but that is not what's going to help you get out of town and leave your hometown and go to the new city and start your life. You need to save money. So how do you do that? One of the ways that I stopped myself from self-sabotage was I set up a second direct deposit. You have your main direct deposit. If you don't have direct deposit set up already, you should look into doing that because that definitely is more convenient. So what I did was I set up a second direct deposit. I went onto my payroll login thing and I added another account. And what I did was I told it to take out the $633 or $670, sorry, from every paycheck. So that money was just automatically going away. I didn't have a chance to touch it and spend it and say, oh, better luck next pay period. It was already gone. A tip that I want to give you is, I know getting a bank account for some people is kind of a pain in the butt. Look into Walmart money cards. It only costs like $5 to buy the card to set up the account, and they're going to give you a routing number and an account number so that you can use that for direct deposit, because I had mine set up through a Walmart money card. So look into it. Another thing that I did to not self-sabotage my savings was I didn't deprive myself. Now, I know that's counterintuitive to what I was just saying about cutting out on your miscellaneous spending, but what I did was I didn't cut it out. I used my miscellaneous spending with intention. Basically what I did was I split my bills in half. What do I mean by that? Say my rent was $450. Instead of paying the whole $450 from one paycheck, I would pay half of that, $225. So then that means at the end of paying all my bills, since some big lump sum of my savings is already coming out, it would give me more money every week, every 2 weeks to work with, which means I could plan for, getting extra colors in my manicure because that costs more money. Or I could plan for going and get sushi because I had a little bit more money to work with. Cutting your bill paying in half is a great way to help with your savings process because it gives you more money to work with and you don't feel like you're depriving yourself. So, how do you not self-sabotage your savings? Set up the savings for direct deposit and you don't touch it. And even a step further than that, don't carry the card in your wallet. In fact, have somebody come to your house that you trust and have them hide it for you, like your mom, if you trust your mom. Have her hide it for you so that you don't even know where it is, and give her strict instructions. Don't show me where you put this card until it's time for me to go, okay? Because if you know it's there and you know that you're going to be tempted, you just have to meet yourself where you are. I am someone who could have a bad day and just, spend it all, so I had to find ways to not sabotage myself. Having the money come out directly and splitting my bill payment in half was a great way for me to not sabotage my savings process. So hopefully those two things will work for you. And I would love to hear from you guys what other tips you have for yourself. If you're like me, someone who it's hard to hold on to a dollar, let me know how you stop yourself from self-sabotaging. Now let's get into my tips and tricks. So the first tip that I'm going to share with you that'll make your budget process more successful is to write it down. Write your budget down. And that's where my planner, my cell phone, and this pencil came in handy, because what I did was I literally wrote out all of the bills that I had to pay every 2 weeks in my planner. I would even write out the money that was going into my savings, and I would look at this stuff like as many times as I could. This is upside down. I would look at this as much as I could, and I got one of those planners that not only has the month at a glance, but it has the days at a glance, so I could write in my budget. I looked at it all the time, you know what I mean? It was always in my mind that I have this goal that I'm trying to meet, so write it down. Now, if you're someone who doesn't like writing in a planner, that's okay. You can also use an Excel spreadsheet. I'm not great at creating Excel spreadsheets, but I still found one for you guys. There's a site, and I'll link it below, moneyunder30.com, and they have done us a favor by creating spreadsheets that will calculate all your figures for you. You just plug in the numbers, and they're fully customizable, so you can write out exactly what it is, the expenses, the incomes, however you want it to. You can formulate it to your own liking. So moneyunder30.com. Excel spreadsheet. If you're using an Excel spreadsheet or you want to write it in a planner, either way it goes, you want to write it down. You need a plan. Write it down. Okay? That's my first tip. My second tip is to stay positive. I cannot impress upon you how important it is to stay positive, and that your mindset determines everything that's happening in your life. For me, staying positive meant not telling certain people that I was actually thinking of moving back to New York City, because, they could have hated on me. They could have been like, girl, when you gonna give that up? Oh, you going back there? Da 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 da. I didn't want to hear that. So I didn't say anything. I literally said nothing. Do you understand? Not a peep. I was planning and I was, doing all these things, and I didn't tell these people until I had actually already moved. It's like that. Because whatever you need to do, stay positive. So whatever that means to you, stay positive. Whether that's affirmations, that's meditating, that's, having positive conversations with people. Whatever you need to do, stay positive, because that's going to have a major effect on everything that you're doing. My next trick, it's not really a trick, and it goes along with staying positive, was don't tell everybody your business. Even if they're not necessarily going to be negative. In my experience, I find it's best if I hold things close to me, and then when it's done, then I discuss it. Killers move in silence, and so do successful people. They don't run around telling everybody what they're going to do. They talk to you about what they've already done. So if you develop that mindset, that's really going to help you, because you just don't need to spread your energy out like that. In my experience and in my opinion, it's best if you just don't tell everybody your business. Only the people who really need to know. Like my own mother didn't know that I was moving. I had her come over to hide my card from me because I told her I was trying to save money, but she didn't know for what. And then one day when it was time for me to ship my stuff to myself, I asked her to help me, and she figured it out. Like, are you moving? And I was like, yeah. And that's how she found out. And my mother is super supportive of me. She never would try to stop me from doing anything. She's never tried to stop me since I'm 18 years old. And I was like, I'm moving to LA. She was like, okay, I love you. Have a good time. She was super supportive. So don't tell people your business. Keep it to yourself. Stay positive. Write it down. You can make this happen. I believe in you. So that's all that I have for you today. Thank you so much for watching to the end. You are amazing. I cannot wait. I'm so excited. I have so much information to share with y'all about all my experiences that I've gone through over the years, some failures, some successes, and I know that you're going to get so much value out of this content. So I can't wait. So I will see you in the next video. Hit the like button. Let me know you enjoyed my little video, and please hit subscribe so that you can be notified once you hit the bell. Subscribe and hit the bell so you can be notified when I post more videos. I told you I'm very excited. Anyways, thank you guys. Have an awesome rest of your day or evening, and I will see you next time. Bye.